consulting.
Yeah.
They're not selling a product because the product that we sell doesn't need to be sold. We just need to have a conversation to fit in their lifestyle, their budget, what they're looking for, their needs. A needs assessment. I believe that if you have somebody that you know that's in the industry that you're making a purchase, why not go through them? Why not get there? They're the expert. I remember the episode very well.
Yeah, and he's playing it, and until it's going, he thinks he's getting this way until Gilbert Gottfried walks by and yells out, Dr. Huxtable.
Yes. Now Sinbad's like, oh, I got him now.
His eyes light up. He's like, wait, you're a doctor?
This is the Grow Business Podcast with
ready
Corey
here.
Mosley.
Ready to go? We're going.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, I'm ready.
It's okay. It's on right now. Like people are listening.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. That's what we wanted to do.
Ask me.
This is a surprise. Yeah. Well,
whatever.
this is not an interview. It's you're gonna.
Well, we gotta start.
You're gonna put. Yeah.
Somewhere.
I'm gonna get your opinion.
There you go.
Yeah. I want you to weigh in and drop.
And then I'll
drop some
elaborate
nuggets. Drop
and
some
add my
nuggets and some
extra
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. All right. Good.
My voice okay?
I don't know. We'll let the people decide if your voice is okay. Folks, don't change that dial. You are at the right place. Yes, you have showed up for knowledge, information, and growth on your business. This is the Grow Business Podcast. Now, this is a special edition. So we're technically on summer break right now, but I had a unique opportunity. I've got a sales expert in the building, and I said, you know what? We need to have him here, and we need him to drop some knowledge for people. So we're making the rare instance. If you're watching us on YouTube, you will know that this is not Lon Graham. This is not LG007. I'm sitting here, and then if you're streaming us on Apple, you will hear the voice sounds a little different here. But I'm still here. I'm Corey Mosley. Maybe? Okay. Whoa, that got loud today. Hold on. This is what happens when you go on summer break. Willie H, he's 50-50. He loses the buttons he's supposed to be positioning. Willie H is here.
Hit the
He wasn't ready.
buttons, William.
He wasn't ready. And then we've got a phenomenal guest, a long-time friend, brother, confidant, knows we're one of the few people that knows where all the bodies are buried.
Yes, sir.
We've got Jamal David. Jamal Sutton's the house. Yeah,
Hello, everyone. Hello,
Oh, he's
everyone.
going to give you something. He gave you. Go ahead, hit him.
Gave me something.
Yeah, I like that.
Excellent.
Jamal Sutton's in the house. Jamal
Thank you.
is in from New Jersey.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Now, I've got you on. We're doing this little special edition. So, folks, we're going to do this a little different. Now, if you are a longtime listener, you know that we base our show on the 5 pillars of business growth. I believe every business challenge can be solved by overcoming one of these pillars. Mindset, sales, marketing, operation, and people. I go into greater detail here in my book, Position for Growth. We cover this. Doing well, by the way. Just got royalty checks in from the UK.
Excellent.
So shout out to UK folks. I was able to buy my Starbucks with it this morning.
Excellent.
It just covered, not mine and my wife's, but it covered my Starbucks. But I'm appreciative nonetheless. So we like to, and I know you watch the show, so we like to break that down. So I thought, with sales being one of our main pillars and part of the pillars being our second pillar next to mindset, right? Because you got to have the right mindset to be successful at sales.
Absolutely.
I thought this was a great opportunity to capture him all the way from New Jersey and capture some insights. Now, you have specialized for 25, how many years?
About 24, 25
so
years.
25, 24, 25 years in the automotive industry, one of the top closers I know. And I know a lot of guys. Obviously, I've been in that business for a long time as well, which is how we know each other originally, slanging Toyotas.
Absolutely.
Back in the 90s, that's crazy to even say.
Those were the days.
Those were the days.
Those were the days.
We got the stories will not be covered on today's episode.
Yes, no, we won't be doing that.
But fundamentally, everything revolves around the ability to sell.
Absolutely.
And close business and generate revenue from that. Businesses that go out of business don't necessarily go out of business because they had a bad product. They go out of business because they didn't sell enough. They didn't produce enough. So having that skill, and so many business owners think they just have to be good at their thing. Oh, Corey, I'm a great plumber, so I should be able to, make money. Oh, yeah, I'm not really good at the business stuff. I rather, work on the cars. I'm a great mechanic. I'm a great baker. So, but they skip over. I was actually having this conversation yesterday at dinner with some friends, and one of them is a website designer. And we were talking about, when you can't sit at the table and my strategy hat is always on. She's telling me what's going on with the business and the different things. And I'm telling her, about all these guys like online, how they're cold call these businesses and kind of walk them through selling them a website. And she's like, oh, I would love to do that. I'm just not good at sales. So I said, okay, well, why don't you solve that?
Right.
There's tons of free sales training, paid sales training, but everything comes back to that, right? The microphone that we're talking out of right now,
yes,
somebody had to sell it.
Absolutely.
Right? This desk, I was sold this desk. I was sold this TV, right? This building we're in, the commercial real estate agent had to sell the idea that, we should be in this space, and this is the right place to build a studio and invest.
Somebody's always being sold, and somebody's always buying.
Correct. And, Jeffrey Gitomer always said people hate to be sold, but they love to buy.
Absolutely.
And you better believe it.
So, you spend so much time in this industry, particularly in the luxury segment. So dealing with high net worth individuals,
yes,
dealing with people that can, buy pretty much what they want when they want. Long history with BMW. So I thought it would be just great just to have that conversation. Folks, you guys see if you're watching this, I don't have the laptop up. We really just want to have a conversation today about some of the things that you see in the market right now in terms of salespeople. You've worked with hundreds and hundreds of sales, probably thousands in your career, and have been a manager for 20 years. So you're not only working side by side with them, but you're mentoring, coaching, teaching, training.
Absolutely.
And taking people who maybe had no skill and creating an opportunity to give them some skill and some confidence.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think right now are one of the more problematic things that you see in terms of someone's inability to be effective selling?
I believe that it starts with knowing your product, confidence in your product, being comfortable explaining it with a way where a customer can, not too much where the customer won't understand, because they pretty much have an understanding of what they're coming in for,
right,
and the product that they're buying. But the salesperson needs to be able to explain some of the little details of the product, things that customer may not know well.
Now, do you think they should be?
Help me.
Do you think they should be facilitators? Right? You don't view them as sales, like even you think about it. I mean,
Absolutely not.
You think about sales, they should be facilitators, educators, not.
Absolutely. Consulting.
Yeah.
They're not selling a product, because the product that we sell doesn't need to be sold. We just need to have a conversation to fit in their lifestyle, their budget, what they're looking for, their needs, a needs assessment.
Yeah.
Where you can have a pretty easy conversation with the customer about what's important to them.
Right.
Whether it be safety, size, if they have a big family, if they want something sporty, something luxury.
And now this applies across
very easy things though.
And this applies. Oh, Willie H is you're friskier than you normally are today. Normally we got to drag the drops out of him. He's loose over there. And this is universal. Like this conversation we're talking about is universal, right? So if you're an insurance salesman,
it doesn't apply just to cars.
The needs assessment, right, is the same piece of it. What do you think? When we refer to somebody as a weak salesman, what do you think that? When you're like, man, that guy's weak. He can't. We have all these sayings, right? He can't close a door. He's, weak as soft as table butter.
Right.
What do you think are the signs when you're like, man, they just don't have it?
Well, okay. So I'll tell you that I've come across a lot of salespeople that I may have thought maybe this may not be the right business for them. It may not be the right business for them, but this is what they chose. And if they're on my team, I'm going to do my best to make them as well as I make them the best salesperson that I possibly can.
So what's the behavior though, where you're like what do they do that is hurting their sales, that makes them kind of weak?
Well, somebody who obviously, again, they don't study their product and what they're selling. Their follow-up is non-existent. Just the overall attitude, a people person.
Right.
I believe that in order for you to be an effective salesperson, you have to like people. There are a lot of salespeople that they seem not to just like people.
Right.
So
like it's a job they're begrudgingly doing.
Right. So it may not be the business that you should be in, because you need to deal with people every day, all day, multiple times a day.
Right.
And so if you're the kind of person that is, I just don't want to deal with this person, then sales may not be what should be the
But
job
don't you think
that
every
created.
business owner needs to have sales skills?
I believe that they do. Absolutely.
Even if they have a sales team, or even if they have a salesperson. Because, a lot of times what a business owner will do, they'll try to solve their sales problem with a person. Like, meaning, okay, great, I'm not really good at any of this stuff, so I'm going to go try to hire somebody. We call these rescue hires many times.
Right.
People that you think are going to just solve all of the problems without knowing. I tell all business owners, now you may not have to sell your own product forever, but particularly if you're starting something, you need to go write the first 20 deals.
Absolutely.
So you know what it's like, what they're seeing. So, I'm going to go back to this week thing. Like, what behavior would you observe if you were watching a deal unfold and you saw a salesperson do X, Y, or Z? You go, man, this person's pretty weak.
What I would think would be a salesperson giving up too easy. So, for example, you do a need assessment. You come to the sales desk. You give us the information we need to pencil the deal. We send you out with the deal. Customer says, yes, that's not going to work for me. I need X, Y, and Z. They come right back and say, I need you. I need a manager. I need you in there.
Right.
I say to that salesperson, you don't need me quite yet.
Right.
You need to do more investigating.
Correct.
Find out what about what I just gave you is not working for them, and then bring that back to me. So I believe salespeople give up way too easy.
Okay, there we go. Yep.
I think that they're not that it's a fight, but you need to find out more information. You need to investigate the reason why this deal doesn't work for them at this moment. So that is one thing that really stands out to me, is salespeople give up way too easy.
What do you think about, one of the things I always think is interesting, they say salespeople are the easiest people to sell, but like sometimes I'm not interested in the sales process, right? Do you think it's more about, sometimes I just want you to help me buy, not, right? So God forbid I go into a car dealership, right? And, they start with the 20 questions, like some of them have the flip charts and all these other things that they have. And she's like, listen, here's what I'm trying to do. Now you got two options. You can go back to your thing, and this isn't about control. This is about helping me buy. Here's my intention here. I don't want to answer these 22 questions. Here's what I want to do. I want to lay it out for you, and then I'm going to let you decide how you deal with that. Now, do you think that is, because I think salespeople misinterpret that as a customer being difficult or being a jerk, when what they're really doing is trying to help.
Absolutely.
I just want to give you the information to help you sell me.
Absolutely. Well, that is also one major thing I always tell all my salespeople is that, listen, talk less, listen more. The customer will tell you how they want to be sold. Salespeople have this way that they just need to get everything out.
Right.
Like they overtalk the customer. They don't listen.
Talk past the sale.
Right. Talk themselves completely out of the sale. Give the customer way too many options. So now they need to think about it. Listen to the customer. What's important to them? Ask them just a few questions. What's important? And believe me when I tell you, it happens all the time. When I go into a deal, I don't talk much. I introduce myself, and I just pretty much listen. And the customer will tell you exactly what you need to know to sell them the car. And once I see the opening to re-engage in the conversation, that's when I re-engage it. We could talk about it. We don't even actually need to be talking about the car. We could talk about what kind of watch that customer is wearing,
Right.
something off topic,
Right.
a suit that one he has on, or maybe I have on, or just anything.
Right.
Basketball, sports.
Right.
I try to kind of get off the topic a little bit, and then I bring it back to what we're there to do, is to sell the product.
Right.
So I listen, and I pay attention.
Do you view any of that as manipulation? Because salespeople get a bad rap.
They do.
Right?
They do.
But that building, the skyline behind us, that building needs to get sold.
Absolutely.
Right? So like we get a bad rap. Mm-hmm. But do you view that as, so in that process, right? Mm-hmm. Your style, your approach,
yes.
Is that manipulative?
I know. I believe that it's just the customer. So the customer came into our center to buy a product.
Right. Or look, at least.
Or look.
Or decide.
Right.
Right.
My job is to help them decide. I cannot force them to buy. There are plenty of other places they can buy. But what I do is I make it very easy for them to buy from us. I make the transaction very easy. Don't complicate it. I answer any question. I don't avoid any question that they ask. I answer. You have to be very transparent. And the customer will start to trust you.
Right.
And once they trust you and believe that you are being sincere and you're selling with integrity, then that sale is easy.
Well, that's important, right? Because versus the people feeling phony or people being genuine. I've met people like that will just try to be a chameleon. Like, they'll teach that in sales to, just adjust to be a chameleon. They love fishing, you love fishing. And I think a lot of that just comes across as disingenuous. And once that happens, you really lose people.
Well, customer can see BS when BS is being
right, particularly in Jersey, right?
In Jersey, and I'll tell you, and their guard is already up because they know that they're coming in for a product and they're probably going to be sold something that maybe today wasn't the day that they were going to decide to do it. But listen, if they run into a very good salesperson, someone who cares about what they want, listens, knows their product, and makes the transaction easy, then there should be no issue with making that deal.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about.
I want to work with.
Yes, somebody you might want to work with. I'm laughing because I think about the story you tell of my grandfather years ago coming into the dealership.
Yes.
And you asked him if he needs help.
Well, because I knew who he was, but he obviously may have heard of me but didn't know me yet. And so I thought I'd mess around with him a little bit and just ask him, can I help you? And maybe I asked him a few more times, and he was like, no, I don't need anything. He kind of pretty much like ran away from me, which was.
He thought you were trying to close him.
Well, he thought listen, he knew.
R.I.P. to my grandfather.
Listen, he knew. R.I.P. to him.
Yeah.
He knew who listen. He came there to see his grandson, but he knew who the real deal was. So he said, "Let me get away from this guy. Let me get away from this guy, because I'll be driving off in a new car."
Listen, can I tell you that I went to high school? Obviously, I got in the car business early 18 and was working at a dealership while still in high school, basically, in that transition. Do you know one of my high school, I would tell you the story that I was walking, there was two buildings. We had the Nissan building, we had the Subaru Kia building, and I was in the Subaru Kia building, I was walking up, and I saw a friend that I went to high school with getting some paperwork out the car, like driver's registration or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, and Willie H, you know Finney, and I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, we're in there buying a car. I said, you know that I work here.
Right.
Oh yeah, we didn't know. We didn't want to bother you. we didn't want to bother you. And I go up there and I go into the finance office, folks. We call it F&I the box. Mm-hmm. Go in the finance office and there, Mr. and Mrs. Hill. I'm like, what are y'all? I'm hot.
I would be too.
I'm like, why would you not even? But people do that kind of stuff too.
Absolutely.
They will not do business with you because they don't want you in their business, or they would rather tell a stranger all their business.
Well, I believe that that's not a smart person. That's not a smart consumer.
Right.
I believe that, listen, obviously what you share with me about your finances is between you and I.
Right.
And legally, I cannot disclose any of those things. We sign
We sign
documents that we're not that we cannot share any information about the customer.
Right.
They may not know that, but I don't believe that is a smart
HIPAA.
consumer. Yeah, I don't believe that that's a smart consumer. I believe that if you have somebody that you know that's in the industry that you're making a purchase,
right.
why not go through them? Why not get there? They're the expert in what you're doing.
Here's the other thing I think is crazy. Do you know how many people that I will go on like their Facebook page or whatever, and I have no idea what they do? Like let's just take auto. If I pulled up all the salespeople in your dealership and searched them on social media, I guarantee you more than half of that staff, you would not even know that they sell cars.
That they sell cars, right?
Why do you think that do they have issues with
I believe
what they
that
do for
I
a living?
believe that some, like I said earlier, I believe that a lot of these people should not be in this business of selling. But if you are in the business of selling and you want longevity and you are making it a career and you want to have success, then anybody that you know that you encounter needs to know what you do for a living.
Right.
So I will tell you, everywhere I go, whether it be my cleaners, my gym, my barber, my church, my wife's hair salon, anywhere I go, they're going to know that I sell cars. Not that I'm the manager and any of that, just that, hey, I sell cars.
If you need
and if
anything,
you need
anything,
anything,
right.
I am here to assist you.
Yeah.
A smart consumer, a smart friend
Right.
will use that to their
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be too concerned about me looking at their credit score and how much money they make.
Right.
I just want to help.
Right.
So yeah, that is not a smart consumer to me, and I believe that if you are in sales, everybody should know what you do for
Right,
a
because it
living.
makes you feel like you don't
Church
have.
say amen.
There it is.
Amen. Amen.
Like I feel like that. Yeah, that makes me feel like you don't have any pride of what you do, or you're ashamed in some way of doing that.
Right.
Now, the other big word is the F word, which is fear. So much fear involved. Like when you talk about them taking a shortcut or a customer just giving some pushback and them folding, right? Why do you think so many salespeople have fear about, saying no, or fear about engaging in the situation?
Well, sales is commission, right? So they get very
Many times. Not always, right?
Not always,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
most of the time it's commission. The work that you put in is what you'll get out of it. And a lot of salespeople, first off, you need to manage your money very well, because it is most of the time commission, with a very small, if not, some dealerships don't even give you a salary. So you have to be very good with your money.
And that's real estate agents. Real estate. I mean,
Same.
you get 15. You can get 10,000 at one time.
Right.
And now you've got to manage
Right.
that.
Well, you have to manage that because then you may not sell a house for another 3-4 months.
Right. Correct.
So that money needs to work for you. So what I think as far as my industry and the salespeople that fear the most, and I ask all the time, like, what are you afraid about? Are you afraid that you don't have anything right now? So you have nothing to lose.
Right. Nothing for nothing. Is
Nothing for
right.
nothing. So your job is to get this person to buy. The way I look at it, when somebody sits in front of me, if I have a bill that's due, then that person will be covering that car note, that mortgage, that light bill, that cable bill. You're going to pay for something for me today.
Now I know
That is the way I look at it and the way I
right.
teach my salespeople to look at it.
Well, and I know it's taboo, right? You're not supposed to talk about the Cosby Show anymore. Like we have to forget about Bill Cosby. But every life lesson was in that show. So
Absolutely.
So I talk about it in the context of like the show, not whatever else he was getting into. But one of the best episodes was Sinbad playing the salesman at the car dealership.
Yeah.
And Bill going in. With the beat up sweatsuit, the old champion sweatsuit on, where, obviously everybody knows he used to wear the Coogee sweaters and all these things.
Yes, absolutely.
Going in and kind of not wanting to admit. And, Sinbad's there with the picture of his kids and he has the wife call and, oh, honey, what is it? Well, the kids do need braces. Go. And the kids got to have heat. I get it. He gets off the phone.
Right.
And you just see the whole episode where they're posturing.
Yes,
He's like, oh, well, what do you do? Oh, I work.
Yes.
Well, okay. What kind of work?
Right.
Hard.
Yes. I remember the episode very well.
Yeah, and he's playing it, and until it's going, he thinks he's getting this way until Gilbert Gottfried walks by and yells out, Dr. Huxtable.
Yes. And now Sinbad's like, oh, I got him now.
His eyes light up. He's like, wait, you're a doctor? And he's like, oh, yeah. And Dr. Huxtable, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
This guy, I come in his office, he wears sweaters more than my car. Well, what do you got on? How's your wife doing?
Right.
Oh, she's okay. Okay. Right. I heard she just became a partner in her law firm.
Right.
Like, it is.
Well, you know what, though? I'll tell you that it shouldn't be that listen, you should treat everybody with the same respect.
But we all judge. We did a whole episode on that.
We
all judge.
We do judge. I'm currently right now employed in an area that is really, really wealthy. And I expect it to come in and just money falling out of everybody's pocket.
Right.
But that is actually not the case.
Right.
They are tighter. They keep, listen.
That's how you keep it, right?
The reason why they are as wealthy as they are is because they don't spend frivolous. They can buy from whatever, whenever, however they want, but they don't spend money that way.
Now, if it was just about transportation, we'd all be driving Priuses, right?
Absolutely.
If there was, if it was just about that.
Well,
right?
it's a want, not a need.
Yeah, correct.
Definitely, BMW is a want, not a need.
Let's stay on that. What do you think are what would you define as some secrets or some tips for selling to the affluent?
I have a perfect example for this.
Yeah.
Selling to people who have unlimited resources financially.
Yeah.
They just want to be treated special. They want the red carpet.
Right.
They walk into the center. They're not walking into, no disrespect to Toyota, Honda, any of those dealerships. Those manufacturers are great and they serve their purpose. But when you're walking into, let's say, a BMW dealership or a Mercedes dealership or Audi or any of these high-line dealerships, they are expected to be treated and catered to
right.
By a professional, somebody who knows what they're talking about, who also looks the part. You have to be, you have to present yourself well. You have to be well-dressed, well-spoken, and know what you're talking about.
What do you think about that? This is interesting. There's so many different angles I want to get your opinion on. Because there's this whole era, there's this whole movement of, like, just be yourself and like, look how you want to look, and everybody should just accept you for whatever.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work in the real world. Like you just said, everybody judges,
right?
And we're judging them; they're also judging us. So you have to present yourself as well as you possibly can. You don't have to have $3,000-$4,000 suit, but you have to come start the day. You have to be present in the situation. They have to know that, hey, this person really takes pride in themselves.
Yes.
So that
and how
right
crazy
there,
is that when you see salesman comes in, can't tuck their shirt in, a wrinkled shirt, collar. I was in I like Rhone. So I was in Rhone a few weeks ago, and the guy. And I know that he's kind of weird. I hope he doesn't listen, but he's kind of weird. But I'm in the store and we're talking, blah, blah, blah. And he starts talking about, he starts talking about a particular shirt material. And he's like, oh yeah, like the one I have on. And I did not realize that based on how he was wearing the shirt, like it was the collar was all, I have two of them. It's one of my favorite shirts. I did not recognize it on him,
right?
Because he was wearing it so poorly,
right?
Like just so jacked up. I didn't even realize the guy was wearing a shirt that I have,
right?
And it's like a favorite shirt of mine because of how he presented it.
Right.
So what do you say when people come in? Wait, hold on. I gotta, because we go back so far. Do you remember when the guy came in looking for a job? And we made him go. Yeah. We told him, you can't even get interviewed like this.
Absolutely.
And we made the guy go to Burlington Coat Factory across the street.
Absolutely.
And he said, you're gonna have to buy a whole new wardrobe. You're not even now. I don't think he ended up even getting the interview, but he did come back.
But he came back sharp.
He came back. Yes.
He came back the best version of himself.
Yes.
A better version than he was.
And to your point, that's not about how expensive your suit is. right?
Absolutely
You
not.
can. I mean, I know guys that shop at JCPenney's that are sharp
That look great.
and right, got the brown belt, the shoot, the whole
That
thing,
look great.
right? So it's not,
And also the
economics
opposite
of
of the guy who wears a $5,000-$6,000 suit and looks terrible.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So it's about the individual.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be very expensive, but it has to be clean, pressed, and neat.
Yes.
It has to show that you care about
Like
the way
pride.
you take some pride
Yeah,
in the way
right.
the way you look and what you're selling and how you're speaking to the customer.
What do you think about salespeople who establish themselves, get a book of business, right? I think about this like like an insurance, right? You spend all those years building your State Farm agency, your Allstate agency, and now you're kind of coasting a little bit. What do you think about people? How do you think they're affecting themselves by like, then they step off the gas or they're like, oh, I've made it now.
Right.
So now I can just change, how I dress, or I don't have to care anymore.
I believe that full speed ahead at all times. Me personally, there's no days off. You got to always be prepared. You never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
So I always want to be at my best wherever I go. When I step out my home, when I step into my place of business, I am there as my best first, as my best self. So yeah, I don't take my foot off the gas.
So let's go back to the affluent piece. So they want to feel special.
Yeah.
Right. They're expecting an elevated experience.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I find is interesting, I'm going to see what your thought on this. One of the ways to me to sell to people who aren't necessarily at the economic level of that experience, I find that if you deliver that experience, like I remember a Pontiac GMC dealer in Jersey that had soda machines and had high-end coffee and had a nice lounge. And he was one of the most profitable dealers in his network because he basically took the Lexus experience
Absolutely.
and gave it to the guy coming in for a Pontiac Sunfire.
I think that is very important and very strategic on his part. I would tell you that I have been in centers. I've worked for centers that because we are selling a luxury product, we don't give a luxury experience.
Yeah.
And then I've been in
Can't even
centers.
keep creamer in the building.
And I've been in centers where they're selling, a modest product, but give a elevated experience. Like you mentioned, there's someone that greets you at the door.
Right.
There's a cafe with,
Yeah.
what Starbucks,
Right.
all kinds of things.
Right.
And those are the things that people notice.
Right.
And so I would say that you don't need to be on the high end, especially if you're selling, a very a modest product, but you need to have some sort of luxury.
Right.
If you want to
And the customer
have a luxury
experience can create-
you
right,
want
right,
the customer to have
right.
a luxury experience.
Right.
And also on the other side of it, if you're selling a luxury product, you don't have to, obviously you're selling a luxury product. The people that are coming in there can afford that product. You would hope so.
Right.
You don't have to, there doesn't have to be somebody there to shine your shoes or to if you want to shape up when you're waiting.
Right.
There are some dealerships that actually do that.
Yeah, have nail salons in there.
I don't think you need to go that far, but there needs to be a medium in both spaces.
I remember going to a Ferrari store and they had Kirkland water and chewy granola bars, like Quaker Oats granola bars at the Ferrari store. I just felt like that felt out of place.
Yeah.
Right? I want to see the Illy coffee machine. I want to see the foam and all that stuff coming out of there.
Of course.
It was coming like, what are we doing here? And how do you not see it? Right. As a center manager or as a general manager or as an owner, like what are we doing here? Like,
but they're very simple fixes, things that you can change about the experience that will elevate the experience and make it a lot easier. People don't mind waiting a little longer for, say, a client advisor or their car to be ready or their paperwork to be prepared when they have a nice TV to watch with a nice cup of coffee with maybe a snack, something healthy.
Or Wi-Fi that works.
Yeah. They don't mind waiting. And then that just gives it a better experience where then we could become more profitable in that transaction. Yeah. I believe
it seems like it's so easy. Yeah, it seems like it's so easy. I don't understand why so many people miss that. So if you're a salesperson, obviously we target, our audience is business owners, but that have to be, they still need to be good at selling. If somebody wanted to get better at selling, what do you tell them? Where's some places for them to start?
There are some great places. There's a lot of podcasts, sort of like what we're doing here now. There are a lot of books, a lot of YouTube, so many ways where you can learn how to be a better
What should they target? Opening, closing, demonstration and presentation. What would be?
I would say start off with opening. How you start your conversation, your interaction with the customer. They need to be better at that, because if you suck at that,
Right.
everything else is downhill.
Right.
Right.
So now, you've hired and fired a lot of salespeople too.
I have. Don't like to fire
for our audience. Nobody does.
Nobody likes to fire.
Some people do.
I
but,
don't.
I never enjoyed that.
I don't like doing that.
So that's why you got to have a hatchet person.
Yes.
So,
That bad.
that bad for sure. So what are some tips for our listeners who are hiring salespeople or trying to find the right salesperson? What do you look for in an interview? Because I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they look for themselves.
Right.
And if you're not a salesman,
Right.
if you're an owner who's like, I'm not really great at sales,
Right.
you don't go hire people who are like you,
Right.
as in the sales role. So
Absolutely.
what are some of the things that you look for where you're like, this is interesting?
Me, I like to look for someone who is well-spoken, as I said, presents themselves well. They don't have to have a lot of experience in, in, let's say, in the car industry. If they have some customer service, I've met a lot of nice people, a lot of nice folks from, let's say, a Bloomingdale's or a Nordstrom's. Or I'll tell you one fascinating story that I met a young woman at a local Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
That was always so very pleasant to me when I went in to get my coffee in the morning, and we would interact. And I would always say to her that, you have so much more to give than what you're doing, and you should really consider, not that what you're doing is not great,
correct,
but
certainly financially she has a
financially right.
Opportunity.
You just have so much more,
right,
and you should really consider maybe moving into a different industry. So what do? I bring her aboard with me. I make her a receptionist.
Now she's going from barista.
She's going
at Dunkin' Donuts,
not even Starbucks,
right,
or any of these other fancy coffee places.
Right.
She's going from
Really,
although Dunkin' Donuts, I really love their coffee, by the way.
Yeah.
She's going from serving donuts and coffee,
right,
and stale bacon,
right,
to now
don't let your hatred of pork spill out here. No, don't be hating on pork because you don't like it. But go ahead.
Pork is the devil.
Now it's steak. Now it's stale bacon. You don't know. There's no factual. Right? Yeah. Allegedly, Dunkin' Donuts. Thank you. Allegedly, please go ahead.
So to make a long story short, she obviously didn't have any sales experience,
right?
Other than selling coffee and donuts. Brought her in
That's
with
order
me.
taking.
Order taking. But she just had a really nice demeanor, always smiling, no matter.
She had a great base, a foundation, something you could build from.
Right, and always welcomed everyone, not just me, anyone, because I've been in her store and seen her interact with other people.
Okay,
great. And so I liked that part of her personality. Gave her a job as a receptionist. She was great at that, and she didn't wanted more. So I said, okay, you can assist the managers in what we need to do. And then she did that great, and she says, Jamal, I need more. I said, okay, so now you're going to also help the finance managers. And 2 years later, I will tell you, this woman now is probably one of the top grossing finance managers in that company.
Bingo!
There you go. She's come from making $13 an hour to making well over $200,000 a year within 3 years.
Wow.
Maybe this guy can help me.
All because you took an interest.
I took an interest. But can I tell you, Corey, she was just pleasant. Like, I look forward. I passed maybe 5 Dunkin' Donuts before I get to hers.
Right.
But I liked her.
Right.
I liked the way she made me feel. She treated me well. She treated everybody well. She made a great cup of coffee. And she never gave it to me for
But they
free,
say
by the way.
people-
I always paid.
Right.
She never hooked me
No
up with
hookup.
a little donut or
Right.
anything. She was just like, no,
So because
Jamal,
she follows the rules.
She follows
Right,
the rules,
right,
so she
right.
don't steal.
Right.
She's
right,
honest.
Right.
But she just gave great
And I'm
exchanges.
sure, I'm standing here. You tried to shake a little something.
mean,
maybe not
listen.
a donut, but can you throw some egg whites in?
Gift card or something, a little something,
It's completely fired now. Illegally loading the gift card.
But to answer your question, I don't look for a person with a ton of experience. I look for somebody who's nice, pleasant, well-spoken, takes
Now,
care
what
of
is a
themselves.
business owner? You can't train on sales because you're not right. You have that luxury because you can help train them up.
Right.
But if I'm running, a landscaping business, I don't, and I'm looking for a salesperson or business development person.
Right.
I can train them on rocks. And trees and stuff, but I can't train them on sales. Now I have to go get them training, right?
Well, some things are, and if you're comparing the two industries, I think there are a lot of things that can be taught. I think that
I'm just saying that in your case, you could develop her because you have the skill set to do that.
Right.
If I own the landscaping business and I don't have a sales background, I can't necessarily do that. So,
and then you wanted to move into
but what I'm hearing you
say,
say, no, I don't want to move in business. What I'm saying is, as a foundation, and if I was hiring a salesperson, what I'm hearing you say though is, you want to look at somebody's attitude first and their demeanor.
Yeah.
Not just how long they've been in sales or how much sales experience they have.
Right.
How do they treat people? How do they, if you did a lunch interview, how do they interact with the staff, the wait staff in the restaurant?
Well, that's
those
important.
kind of things, right?
Those are the things that you look for in a person.
Right.
You want to see how they are behaving and how they're treating people when nobody else is looking.
Because there are a lot of people. I mean, I want you to think for a minute the number of people that you encountered or have interviewed that looked great on paper and then were straight train wrecks.
Terrible.
In real life, right?
Terrible.
Almost like you were looking at a completely different person.
Oh, I have been bamboozled many times.
All right, folks, you're not alone out there.
Yeah, I have been bamboozled many times. I mean, I've had people come in, I'm talking about, wow, with the resume, pictures, year-to-date, look great, speak great, everything.
Right.
And was a complete nightmare.
And what happened? So in that situation, because they checked a lot of boxes, as you just said. What makes someone a nightmare employee?
Well, because he was this particular person that I can think of was a great interviewer. Actually, that's probably what he should be doing for a living, just interviewing everywhere, because he was amazing to the point where I said to a colleague, you got to come and meet this guy. This guy's great. And he also thought he was great. And then
what made him bad when he got there? Like,
what
not
didn't
on
make
time,
him bad?
Not what?
What didn't make him bad? He was very volatile. He had some anger issues. He may have had a drinking problem.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Those are the things that you don't see.
Right,
He's not going to come in the interview drunk, or with a flask.
Right. Wouldn't be the first. Wouldn't be the. I mean, it's
right.
Happened,
so
or high.
Right. So we met his representative.
Yeah.
We didn't meet the true.
Kind of like dating. I always say sales is like dating too. Like so much of that. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he looked great on paper, but there was no substance. So, and the problem with that is that it's very difficult to get those people out.
Right.
You hire them, but you cannot just because you don't like the way somebody's attitude is, or there have to be more reasons why you this is not a good fit anymore, and you're parting ways.
Right.
So I would say to anybody who's interviewing anybody, be very careful. Check references.
Right.
That's important. Call.
Who gives bad references though?
Well, I will tell you, legally they probably cannot say that. Right. But I always ask the question.
I mean, who writes down bad Who writes down their resume to? I wouldn't write down. I
understand what you're saying. Like, if he had a bad.
Yeah, who writes that down? Who
3 years at a company?
Who gives you a bad reference to call?
You know what, though? A psychopath. Somebody who really believes that they did a good job and it just didn't work out because it's their problem. If they weren't the problem, They were the problem, not me. Believe me when I tell you, and I even said to myself, why would you put this person down? Because this person, I asked them, would you rehire?
Right.
And they said, absolutely not. So I'm like, oh man, what did I do? So now, so now I check references.
That's going to make it into a reel.
Yes. Well, I mean, there are a lot of them out there.
Wow. Oh, why man. Do you have to wreck this company? Because it's wreckable. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I think, man, we've covered so much. The time goes by so fast. You know, if you had to sum up, if you had to sum up your sales career, into what would you pass on? Like if you were like, I'm retired from selling, what advice would you pass on to, the next up and comers, the next people who are, in management or are sales leaders?
Yeah, I would. There are a few things that because I am thinking about retiring.
Okay.
I don't want to be the old guy at the dealership running after customers anymore. So eventually,
because you look so old.
Eventually, I will be retiring, hopefully soon. But what would I pass on? There are a few things. I would tell anybody that's looking to get into the sales is that make sure that you're good with money, managing money, because sales is, depending on you, there's a lot of room for growth. There are a lot of opportunities in this industry, but again, it's what you put into it. That's what you're going to get out of it. So if you put mediocre into it, you're going to get mediocre out. If you put some hard work and effort and you really study your craft, then you're going to do very well. I will tell you that what makes me happy to be in this industry for as long as I've been in it is that the people that I've watched and mentored become great, buy homes, have families, become managers. These are the things that keep me in the business and keep me going. I appreciate all those calls, from people that say, hey, listen, I would not have been able to do a lot of the things in my life financially if it wasn't for you believing in me. So for me, it's just the impact that you make on the people that that you work with. That's important to me. And I would say to the person who's getting new into this business, make sure that it's something that you love. And new into sales. Right. Make sure it's something that you love. You have to like people. You have to present yourself well and manage your money very well. Those are some of the things that I would say those are the most important things. There are a whole bunch of other things, but the most important things to me, I believe, those are the three things that you need to focus on.
So don't go buy a Rolex in your first big check.
No, definitely not. Definitely
and listen, thank you for that. It was awesome having you here. And for my business owners, absolutely. For my business owners, the perspective there is one of the things that makes, Jamal's team so successful is having this mentorship. So I would tell my business owners listening to this, not only do you want to have sales skills or you want to support your team and making sure they have the skills they need to be successful, but you should be looking at, mentorship. Who in the sales community? Are there sales folks out there? Listen, Lon's not here, but head over to longrand.com. He works with sales leaders. Who can mentor you in that process to make your sales organization? Because I don't care what you think you have. You might sell blinds. You might sell landscaping. You think you're in the plumbing business. You think you're in the HVAC business, but you're in the sales business. Because for every single person right now, if you went months and months and months without new business, what would happen to your business? You need transactions. And to do that, you want to have training and you want to have mentors to do that. So, I think we're going to leave it there.
Woo. When the church say amen.
That's right. And wait, I need to get at least, just because Lon's not here doesn't mean I don't get it. We need at least, one of those. Let's get one of those. You have
Lord have mercy.
No, you know what I'm talking about. We dropped some nuggets here. So let me see. Is he going to find it? Let's see what happens. We need a VOR. Yeah. We'll do it at least in honor. But, he's not the only person that could drop some wisdom. Yeah.
Voice of reason.
There you go. Shout out to LG007. We gave him the day off. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. As always, I appreciate you taking the time every week to come back and listen. And hopefully you're sharing this with other friends in the business community, in the leadership community, because I think this is a message that they need to hear. I invite you to head over to Amazon and pick up a copy of Position for Growth, or visit my website, CoreyMosley.com, for more info and check out some of the things that we are doing there. But that's going to do it. This has been another edition of the Grow Business Podcast. I should say edition or episode, but it's all those things. I'm Corey Mosley on behalf of myself, Willie H., and our special guest today, Jamal Sutton. We say goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Willie H., take us out. There you go. See, that was solid. You got a lot of good information. We're still recording, by the way, but...
We're off now?
No. It's not to the music. Who are you holding? You're holding something you don't want to be said? No. This is our outro chatter, our banter, okay. Our outro banter. But this is...
This is me.
Oh, you ready? You ready for full?
What?
You ready for full-time podcast?
Come in here with you, buddy. Willie H., what you think? Can I get it? Yes, brother. Don't get me started.
All right, we'll have to see some more of you. We'll see some more of you.
Do some guest appearances.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. So fly on down here without my wife.
Fly on down
here without my wife, huh? Just spend some time.
There it is. That's and I used to have to fly to Atlanta to record.
Oh,
yeah, every 4 to 6 weeks I have to fly there and do it. But now, have to do that. So
this is beautiful.
There you go. You saw how smooth the flight was. Bit, bam, boom.
Yeah.
Get in, up and back.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Easy. I love it.
All right. We're out.